Hi everyone, I'm Rita Peterson with Everything Homemade, and I am going to share with you part 3 of How to Homeschool series. And this video is going to be about the fear of failure. Now, I don't think I could wrap this up in about 8 minutes, but I am going to try really hard to keep it short. But I also at the same time want to be able to give you a understanding of fear of failure. Fear of anxiety goes in there, fear of teaching, all this fear that we do have, whether this is homeschooling or everyday life. So this goes right into homeschooling, but it also can apply for the rest of your life. So I'm going to gear it to homeschooling. I hope that I don't take too many trails off, but I want to give you real life examples, personal examples of my own. And I hope that it equips you to be able to cast that fear aside and go forward. So to start with, the first video, I explained why my husband and I chose to homeschool. Now, when I had my first child, and he was about 2 years old, I decided, you know what, we need to find out what we're doing. And I was really, really searching, and I was never really keen on homeschooling, per se. I mean, I was in the public system of schooling, and so that's all I knew. So to go the homeschooling direction was a total new focus for myself and for my husband, because he was not homeschooled either. Now, when we decided that yes, we are going to homeschool, then I was like, okay, where do I go from here? Now I'm kind of freaking out because I don't know what programs to do. I don't know how to teach them. I was really, really, really scared. So let me go into this a little bit deeper. So a lot of times when you decide to do something, saying yes is one thing, but actually doing it is another thing. And so when I chose to say yes to homeschooling, now I have to actually put that in practice, and now I am scared and I have fear because now the responsibility of teaching my children is on my shoulders. And I'm the one that's going to be the primary teacher in the home, while my husband is there for support, is there to help, answer questions, help me when I need a little bit of help while teaching them. But I know that I'm going to be carrying the weight of schooling the children. So that really scared me. I lost a bit of sleep about it. There was a lot of praying going on because I did not know where to go from there. So I'm going to share one scripture to open this up, and it's from 2 Timothy 1:7. Now I have my Bible sitting right here. I do not have these verses by memory, so I'm going to find them in the Bible, and I'm going to share as we go several verses, one to prove that fear is not from God, and a couple scriptures that keep me going. So 2 Timothy 1, chapter 1, verse 7, I am reading from the King James Version. It says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of sound mind." So right away, we know the first section of the verse goes, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear." And if we take a look at that and we examine that, we know right away that any time that we have fear, we know it's not of God, because God doesn't give us the spirit of fear. Human nature, sin, fallen world, all that goes into fear. It is Satan's way of steering us a different direction, because we have fear of doing something, and God says, hey, I would like you to pursue this, and we go, whoa, I'm not doing that. That's so scary, or I am scared of this, or I don't see myself doing that. we stop and we don't actually pursue what God wants us to do out of fear. So it's everywhere. Kind of fear paralyzes us because we are scared of the unknown. We are scared of what's beyond what we are comfortable. Our safe zone isn't there anymore. So it is Satan's way of going, hey, I got ya. You're not going to move because now you're scared and you're going to stop right there. And that's not just with homeschooling, you guys. You can take that to all parts of your life. Okay? And I'm gearing this to homeschooling, but take this further because I have taken this further and it is huge because fear paralyzes you where you are and you can't take that foot in front of the next and keep going. So this first part just does something to me because it just shows me right now that, hey, if I have fear, that's not of God. Okay? The next verse that I love and I do repeat to myself often is 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your cares upon him because he careth for you. And I repeat this to myself because when I get high anxiety, when I have fear, when I feel like I failed, I need to cast all that onto him because he cares so much for us. And each individual one of us, he cares for you. And he wants to take that load off your shoulders. He wants you to trust in him. You can only do so much yourself. And then that's it. But he wants you to depend on him for that strength, for that support, because he does truly care for you. And once you cast all that onto him, you breathe easier. You're more relaxed. You don't have anxiety. You don't have depression. Because you know what? You might not have all the friends in the world. Okay? I don't. I know a lot of people. But how many of those people can I call at 2 a.m? Make a list. Mine will be about 2. Okay? That I can really, truly say, hey, I can count on that person. It doesn't matter. But I can count on my God 24/7, 365 days out of the year, every single month, no matter what time it is. I can cast my cares upon him. Some version says, translate cares to anxiety at the first part. I can just take everything, my fear, my everything, and go, here, Lord, you take it. You hold it there and you bring me through this because I can't do it alone. It's a really humbling experience when you say, hey, I cannot do this alone. I have to do it with you. So that's one of my very favorite verses in the Bible. And the other one is Psalms 119:11. Now, I said in the first part of this the first part of this series that there were 2 things from camp: the rap that I shared in part 1 of the video, and the verse, Psalm 119:11. I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. I have taken God's word in my heart, treasured it. I hold it there, that I may not sin against him. Now, that doesn't mean that I am perfect. I sin every single day. And thank God for his mercy, for his love, for his kindness, for forgiveness at the cross with his son, Jesus Christ, that we can come to him and be forgiven. Okay? But we hold his word. His word is in our hearts and it comes off our lips. Okay, so at whatever I was, 9-10 years old, that verse is just literally imprinted on me. So fear failure, what does that actually, I guess, look like? You know, we have, I think fear of failure goes into fear anxiety comes into it, depression starts coming into it. It's an all not that word. It's an all together. It comes together, and you can just one feeds off the other. So fear of failure. When I started to research homeschooling, I really got scared that I would fail my kids. I don't have a teacher's education. I don't have a post-secondary education. I graduated from school, hoping that I would go to secondary. Actually, if you really want to know, I really wanted to be a neurologist, a neurosurgeon. I really wanted to help people medically. I still love biology. I still love it, but I'm more in herbology now. I'm more in natural healing. I wanted to become a doctor, and then I wanted to become a natural doctor. So I wanted to be both. I had huge dreams, and God took me some different direction. So I do have I did graduate. I actually went to post-secondary for a while until God steered me in a different direction, and then that's a total another video in itself. So I didn't really, I feared that my qualifications to teach my children were not there. I mean, the other part of me that you don't know, which I'm kind of opening up myself here, is that I'm dyslexic. So there are so many times where I am teaching my children and I am writing an equation on the board and I'm telling them what it is, but I'm writing the opposite of what I'm saying. Now, you might say like, whoa, that's really confusing. But for some reason, my brain flips numbers, especially numbers and particular letter combinations. I literally flip them and not even realizing it. But my children are so good to go, hey, Mom, you know, they are so good. And I admit to them, they know I have a handicap in this. And I really feared because I didn't understand the English language very good. I couldn't tell you the rules at all at that time. I couldn't tell you why this vowel digraph is like this and why this word would have the exception to that rule. As you know, English language, there's more exceptions to the rule than words that follow that rule. And I'm not a strong speller. I'm not a strong speller at all. I'm not the greatest, you know, in understanding English. I'm not strong in math. I can get through math. In fact, is that since I've been teaching, I'm actually improved my math skills because I actually finally understand it. So it's very interesting because I really, really didn't want to fail my children. I'm the one teaching them. And if Mom has a disability that I can't even spell very good, or I can't do math extremely well. I mean, I can do math, but I'm definitely no math whiz. Where does that leave my children? How do I teach them when I'm not even very good in some of the core subjects that I want them to thrive in? So it took a lot of prayer to get me to the point where going, you know what? If just because I'm not strong in them doesn't mean that I can't learn with them. So the teacher is learning while the student is learning. Now that takes some courage right there, but it also is a very humbling experience because you're out there teaching your children, but you're learning it as they go. And it's actually was very interesting to teach my children, especially Orion and Ocean, that I taught them in the beginning together, and now to admit that my 9-year-old Ocean is a better speller than her mom is at 9 makes me absolutely thrilled to pieces, because it shows me, God has worked through my kids to show me that just because my strengths are not in math and English and even some writing, that does not disable my children. And I've actually become a better speller in just teaching my children, and them teaching some to me, going, "Hey, mom, remember this or this or that." I mean, I can actually teach now Nova, Grace, and Annika even better because I actually understand the rules. I understand why the English language is the way it is. And we start working as a family together. And so that fear of failure, after I saw it a couple of years, kind of disappeared, going, you know what, I can do this. I do not have to have a degree. I do not have to be perfect in teaching to have my children excel better than myself. And that is just an absolute awesome feeling. But I still have a bit of fear of failure because it's human nature. There's a lot riding on my shoulders. There's lots of pressure riding on my shoulders. And I want my children to excel so much that sometimes I forget to just stand back. Lord, I need to cast all my cares upon you because I can't carry this all by myself. I can't make the curriculum perfect and make sure everything's in there or make sure I get everyone taught all by myself. I really, really need you. And so let's take this a step further. So I have fear of failure going in when I started teaching, especially when I started, because I didn't want my children to miss something. I didn't want them to go, "Hey, mom, now I can't do this because you never taught me that." And I feel like I failed as a mom because I didn't teach them everything that I needed them to teach, or because I did. Now they're an awful speller because mom can't spell really, really well. Is that going to harm my children? In actual fact is it made me dive into the books even more, and it actually helped me to understand and teach my children to a level that maybe I wouldn't have ever dived into. And the other thing is it made me sit down and step back and watch my children naturally learn. And I really struggled. Another fear of failure was I didn't think I could teach them how to read. How do I teach my children how to read when I'm a okay reader? I can read really well, but I'm definitely no strong reader like some other people are. So I really felt inadequate to teach my children all these things. And I prayed and prayed, and you know what, some of my greatest conversations with the Lord is over dishes, because when I had 5 children under 7, there's not a whole lot of time, and I found my dish time to be, I mean, the kids don't want to be around mom doing dishes because that's boring and I rather go play. So I found it this awesome time to really communicate with my God on how I should teach my children how to read. How do I teach them? When should I teach them? I mean, there's so many opinions. So many people tell you, do this, get this book, get this material, you should have this, get an iPad, get this. And I'm like, what should I do? How should I do it? How do they learn? How do kids pick things up? How do I teach them in a way that is going to be fun, but also a very educational? So, and I didn't want them to have the same disability that I have. And if they do, I want to recognize it so I can teach them so they understand, and not, 11 years, grade 11, realizing that, hey, the reason why I can't have an issue, the word can't is not good. The reason why I have a hard time understanding some things or flipping some things is because I am dyslexic, and it was an amazing teacher in grade 11 that actually picked that up. And from then on, she actually worked with me while I was in Physics 30, and she, in that way, changed my life. And I still pursued, biology 30, English 30, math 30. I still got to that level even when flipping things around. So And so anyway, while I was going through how to teach them, the fear of failure kept on coming upon me. I'm going, should I do this or should I just send them to school because I don't think I could teach them? And I'm sure happy God really kept on pushing me. I'm sure happy my husband kept on, encouraging me, because I might have given up on that, and that would have been a really, really sad thing. And the other thing about failure is we look at failure as like rock bottom. You did something and now it didn't work, so you just failed at it. And we use that word failed very loosely. And the more and more that I look at things, it going, you know what? For example, I'm making cheese. I've never made cheese in my life, and I'm trying to make my very own cultures, and I'm trying to make cheddar cheese taste really good, trying to get it melt, trying to get it just the way that I would like it to get it. But I'm like 15 blocks later of cheese and a couple messed up cultures. Now, did I fail at the beginning of making cheese? No, I didn't. I didn't get it quite right, and some of it turned out pretty really, really gross because it was so sour. It was like, ooh, what kind of cheese did I make in my kitchen? But did I fail? I could have stopped right there and going, you know what? This isn't going to work. I'm going to throw in the towel. I failed at it. I'm just going to be mad, walk out of the kitchen and do something else and never again look at it. I could have had that kind of attitude. And I find that that's a lot of the attitude we sometimes have today is it didn't work out once. I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm just going to do something else, throw in the towel, and I can't do this. The word I can't is so prominent. And that's the total wrong way of thinking about it. You can do it. Now, I didn't stop at that one messed up cheese block. I stepped back and going, okay, how can I make this better? What went wrong? Because obviously something went wrong because it tastes horrible. Did I do something with the culture? On and on and on. Then I made another one. Horrible cheese. Then I made another one. A little bit better. And then I got my culture down pat. Then I made it again. It improved. Then I made it again and again and again and again. And now I'm to the point where my cheese is very stable. My culture is stable. I can work with it. And my cheddar cheese tastes like store-bought cheese. It is delicious. Now, I didn't fail. I just hit a roadblock. And I hit another roadblock. And then that roadblock got further and got better. And now I'm succeeding at such a delicious, beautiful textured cheese you would not believe, and I can't wait to share it. But I could have stopped right there. And that's where we get paralyzed because we fear failure. So one, we either just plainly don't go and try because we don't want to admit that we didn't succeed the first time, or we do go forward and we mess up, or the results weren't there, or we didn't teach our children the way we should have. And instead of stopping, sit back, pray about it, analyze it, look at it in a different way, we just go, no, I'm done. I'm going to let somebody else teach you. I can't do this. And it is the change of mindset, the trust in Yahweh, which is actually Hebrew name for God. So if I say Yahweh, it's actually the proper name, if you didn't know that, is we need to trust Yahweh and go, hey, where did I go wrong? What can I do? Where can I start again? And you know what? Your kids will actually learn from you and how to correct a mistake, or how to go back, go listen, you guys, I didn't teach this properly. Can we step back a couple of lessons and go over this again? And I want to teach you the right way. I have done that, you guys. I have actually said, let's put the brakes on. I totally misunderstood this. Let's backtrack. Let's teach it right. And I admit that I actually taught you wrong on this concept. And I am sorry about that. And they look up to you way higher than if you just, oh, we got to start all over, and you don't admit that you've actually made a mistake. And it teaches them, it really teaches them to go, hey, you know what? No one's perfect. You will mess up, but it's how you deal with not getting it right the first time. And it also teaches them how to correct it. And that's what I think is really missing in today's society, is that humbleness of, hey, I just plainly messed up. Can we backtrack and do it again? Can we, figure it out, instead of just throwing in the towel and go, I failed, I can't do this, it's not for me. And we really just need to sit back. And I hope this really encourages you, because everyone messes up. Everyone makes mistakes. And it's what do you do with that? Do you get back up and put a foot in front of you? Or do you just stop and quit and fall apart right there? And now I'm not saying that everything stems from this, but with all of, this world being centered on image, being centered on, doing everything perfect, looking the best, doing this, doing that, and you can't mess up, or somebody's going to bug you, or if you're in school, somebody's going to bully you because, of the smallest things. We all have this fear that we don't want to fail because we don't want to have the consequences of possibly messing up. But that also makes us the person we are today. My past, I mean, if you would take the word failure into my past, you can say, well, she failed at this, or she failed at that, and she didn't do this quite right, so that wasn't very good. But I don't see it as failure. I see it as a learning. Yes, that didn't work. Or why did God put me into that position when it was deemed to just blow up in my face? But now that I'm older, I step back and looking, you know what? Thank you, God, for giving me all of every scenario in my life that I went through, because it shaped the person I am today. It actually helps me teach the children the way that will empower them to be strong men and women. The other thing is, with teaching your children, how I look at it too is, nowadays we want to almost put our children in a bubble. Nothing should hurt them. They should have this happy childhood. We try to almost shelter them from bad situations. And as a mom, we don't want to have our children hurt. We don't want them to feel negative things. We want them to be happy, content. But if you step back and you look at reality, what is the world? What is reality when they step out of their bubble and they hit the world, and suddenly somebody says no to their face, or they try something and it doesn't work, and they go through these emotions of what we would consider failure, or something doesn't work out with the job, or maybe they got fired, or all these things happen, but they weren't quite equipped for it as a child. They were sheltered from all the negative. It doesn't help them when they're older. So how I like to teach my children and train my children is real life. And I'm not saying that I let all the negative and everything bad around them. No, but if something comes up, for example, Nova, my middle child, she had a cat. Okay. And we given this cat, and at like 10 months old, it started having seizure, and then another seizure. And there was one night where I came down the stairs and my eyes were filled with tears, and this cat is all over the kitchen having a seizure. I mean, it was the freakiest scenario ever, and I'm kind of tearing up. I'm sorry, but the cat was just flinging itself out of control. I mean, it lost all its bodily functions all over the place. And Nova came out and she was holding, the name was Sizzle, holding Sizzle, and I was holding Sizzle, and wasn't even breathing hardly, the cat. I mean, it was like holding a stiff dead animal in your hand, and your 6-year-old is looking at you in tears going, "Mom, mom, mom, make it better, make it better." And the only thing I could do in that point was just pray, please, Lord, for discernment, for how, what do I tell my 6-year-old? Um, and so, oh, anyway, it was just a really, really hard evening, and we ended up having to put Sizzle down, to make the long story short. And it was a really hard time, explaining to her and talking to her and telling her what's going on. But I included her in every step of the way. So when something like something like that happens again, she's better equipped to deal with it. She, even though it's so hard right now as a 6-year-old to comprehend death, to see, life and death in your hands, to where does the cat go? Mom, why does God do this to us? All these kind of questions. I would rather have my child go through these experiences by my side and explain to them and give them the support. And yes, they feel the grief, they are get emotional, but it helps them to grow up as adults on how to deal with that properly. And there's so many circumstances, I don't always say yes to my kids for everything. There is a no, and they have to be able to understand that you can't get everything. You can't expect to get everything you want, because guess what? Life isn't like that. You're going to go out into this world and you are not going to get everything you want to get. And you're not going to, it's not going to be an easy road at all. So when I'm training my children, I train my children to be adults. I talk to them like I would talk to you, maybe not as and depends on which child I am. Some child I tone it down with the language, but with words I'm talking about, I explain it to them with on how they can understand it. But I want them to grow up and understand how they can cope with the situation, cope with the negative. And so when they grow up, they enter the world and they don't have that fear of failure. They see failure in a different way. If I don't succeed, try again. Have you ever heard of that saying? Have you ever heard of that or saw that picture that says never give up? It has I gotta take a drink here. I think like some kombucha, right? Have you ever seen that crane? And it's half swallowed, that frog, and the frog has its front hands, I think, around its neck, and it says, "Never give up." I'm half swallowed, but I'm going to choke this crane until it spits me out, because I'm not going to give up. I'm not your supper tonight. And I want my children to learn that if it doesn't work the first time, you try it again. And you know what? You may have to try it again and again. And that's what I see in my children now. You know what? Orion's trying to build like Daddy because Daddy's a carpenter. He wants to try to go out there. Does all his things work the way he does or wants it to make? No. Does he get up and try? Did he fail at it? No. I don't like the word failure because You didn't really fail. It just didn't work the first time. So try it again. And that's the attitude we need to go into. This whole fear of whatever it is that you have, we need to cast it onto God. Let Him carry that burden for us. We need to not worry about things so much. And we need to just trust Him and go, you know what, if this is the way you want me to go, Lord, you are going to equip me with the tools necessary to get me there. And in closing, a couple other things. I love this one. John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. I do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Okay? So our Yahweh gives us peace. Okay? The peace He gives to us, we need to take that and let our hearts not be troubled with everything happening around us. We need to, once we cast our cares upon Him, we need to embrace His peace. His love will surround us. The other one that I really, really like is Matthew 6:34. It says, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." I really need to take this one to heart because I do worry about tomorrow a lot of times, but I shouldn't. I need to take that and say, Lord, let's deal with today. When tomorrow comes, let's deal with tomorrow. And what I've come to do is I thank God for tomorrow, for what He will bring. I thank God for my past, and I thank God for my present. I thank God for who I am and what I can teach others, what I can teach my children, and what wisdom I can pass on to them. And I'm going to let God use me, and I will let and not let tomorrow bother me, but let's work on today, because tomorrow has its own troubles and I have to deal with what comes today. So those 4 verses really all together throughout this video, actually it's 5 if you can include the Psalms, they are just awesome verses to remember that if you have fear, it's not of God. Cast that fear away. Let God deal with it. And let God give you peace and love, and just relax. Deal with one day at a time, and go out there, teach your children, and don't be scared to stumble, get back up, put one foot in front of the next, because you can. If you are willing, you can, if you choose to homeschool your children, you can do it. And it doesn't matter your background. All you have to be is willing to put the effort into doing it and to enjoy teaching your children, watch them blossom, and take root in the education that you provide. And with God, anything is possible. So with that, I'm going to conclude this. And I think after this video, we are going to jump into how to teach your child to read. Now, this concept is something that I have actually just made my own way of teaching my children how to read. And I have had such great success that I am really anxious to teach it to you, share it to the world, because I don't follow any book. I don't follow a specific rule book. This is what I have observed, and it's really something that God laid on my heart as I was really struggling with how do I teach my children how to read. And this is what has come. I've done it with all 5 of my children with such success that I would really, really like to share it and hopefully empower other parents, whether you are a homeschooler or whether you're getting your child ready for preschool or kindergarten or grade 1, to go through these steps, because your child will be completely equipped to read and write by the time they're age 5 years old. And it works. And I can't wait to share it with you. A not complicated process that used to scare me to death and cause me a lot of anxiety. And now with me casting that fear aside, God opening my eyes up to how children actually learn, how we actually take in what we learn, and come with this awesome way of learning. I'm really excited to share it. So part 4, how to teach your child to read. I'll see you on the next video.